Hey, y'all, you listen to the Gary Owen podcast. Hashtag Get Some. Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Gary Owen with the Get Some podcast. You can listen to this on iTunes. Just search Gary Owen, hashtag Get Some, or go to my YouTube page, youtube.com/GaryOwenCom. Filming this as I do every week in Cincinnati, Ohio, at Timeless Recording Studios. You can follow them at Timeless R Studio. I'm just gonna get my schedule out of the way. Last week I was in Cleveland, Ohio. Thank you to everybody that came out. We packed out 7 shows. I even had a couple of the Baltimore Orioles come out Thursday night, and I went out to dinner after the show with them. It's just interesting when you get somebody in a different field that's a professional. And it was funny because these guys were so interested in my career, and I'm really interested in their career. Because, you know, it's not that... I was thinking about when I'm a kid. If I was a kid, that'd be like probably one of the coolest things. Like, you're going out to eat with a couple pro baseball players. And didn't think nothing of it. I mean, we went to this place. Now, to me, the best place to eat in Cleveland is XO Steakhouse. Man, they got really good food there. But it's funny. So I'm out to eat. So I got me, my opener, who's his name is Say M. He's a Cambodian guy. And then I got these 2 guys that play for the Orioles with me. And then the check comes, and I picked up the check, right? And they looked at me and go, "Oh man, thanks, man. Thanks for buying dinner." And I go, "Well, you guys kind of paid for it because you bought tickets." I go, "Then you bought a couple t-shirts off of me, and you bought a DVD." I said, "You guys kind of paid for your dinner because that's all in my pocket." So that was kind of a dick move on my part. So my apologies. And this week I'm in Jacksonville, Florida, August 23rd through the 26th at the Comedy Zone. And then next week I'm in New York City, August 30th through September 2nd. I'm at Caroline's in New York. And then I'm in Dayton, Ohio, September 6th through the 9th at the Funny Bone out there. Now, when I go to New York, I'm going to sit in with, I'm actually guest hosting for Sway. I think that's going to be on the 31st. I'll be sitting in for him. He won't be there. So I'm thinking about getting like one of them Scully beanies that Sway wears, and I'll get an Oakland t-shirt, and then I'll talk real slow and deep and show no emotion when guys tell me some deep stuff. Dang, that's crazy. Man, you really did that? Wow. Yeah, so when's your next album coming out? So you got shot 37 times in your heart, and you still lived. Man, that had to hurt. That's how I'm going to talk in my Sway voice. And then I'm going to be on the Breakfast Club again on the 31st. No, I'm sorry, on the 30th. Now, you film the Breakfast Club the day before, and then it airs the next day. So I'm not sure by the time I do next week's podcast, I'll know the actual air date, because I think I film on the 30th and then it airs on the 31st. Yeah, so I'll be all over the place on that Friday, August 31st. But last time I did the Breakfast Club, I got dressed up as Tekashi 6ix9ine. So this time I'm not sure if I'm going to go as Gary Owen or should I dress up as somebody else. Maybe I'll take your guys' suggestions. So we'll see what happens. Now, before I went on the air, I was talking to some friends of mine, and we were talking about football season's coming up. And it's funny when now's the time all the diehard fans thinks their team's going to be good. Everybody. There's people in Tampa right now. There's people in Seattle, in LA, in Phoenix, in Chicago, in Minnesota. Right now, everybody's like, dude, watch out for us. People are sleeping on us. Nobody's sleeping on you. We all know who the good teams are. As long as Brady's in New England's always going to be good. Philly, nobody has a complete drop off when you win the Super Bowl. So do I think Philly's going to win the Super Bowl again? I don't. But Philly's going to be tough again. I was in Cleveland. I was talking to some Browns fans, and even they're like, "Yo, you sleeping on us, man. Don't sleep on us." I do agree the Browns got a lot of talent. And the Hard Knocks this year is so freaking entertaining. I mean, they got the coaches are the best part of Hard Knocks with the Cleveland Browns. Because you got Hugh Jackson, who's an entertaining coach in himself, but that damn defensive coordinator, Greg Williams, and the offensive coordinator, Jack Haley, Jack Haley, god dang. They're must-see TV because it's clear Haley wants that job. He ain't trying to be no coordinator. He wants the head coaching job. He is not bullshitting. And Cleveland brought in Dez Bryant, and then he came and left, and then they were like, it was funny. So on Hard Knocks, you see this guy named Corey Coleman, who was a first-round pick in 2016. So he's bitching because he's not with the number ones, and then he goes in the coach's office like, why don't y'all just trade me? If you ain't going to have me be first string, trade me. Motherfuckers traded him. Like the next day. All right, send him to Buffalo for like a 7th-round pick. That's such a slap in the face when you a first-round pick and they just trade you for nothing, basically. That's what they think of you. So if I'm Coleman, I got a lot to prove in Buffalo. And then they bring in Dez Bryant. Everybody in Cleveland, I'm there last week. Everybody thought they going to sign Dez. Nah, they just let him go. And then we find out Josh Gordon's back. And for those of you who don't know who Josh Gordon is, he's had issues with pot in the past, like numerous issues. He's gotten busted, pop positive so many times, keeps getting suspended. He's played in like 4 games in the last 3 years. But everyone I've ever talked to that's played with him or against him was like, that's the best receiver in the NFL by far if he can keep his head on straight. I mean, you got Odell Beckham, Julio Jones, Antonio Brown, AJ Green. They're like, Josh is better than all of them as long as he can keep his head on straight. It's not even close. And then I follow him on Instagram. Man, when he works out, I wish he would keep his shirt on because he makes me feel like shit every time. He's got like thick abs. You guys see guys with abs and they're skinny. His abs are thick. I mean, it's like they stick out. And they each have, it's like each ab has its own ab within its ab. I can't even explain it. It's like look like it would hurt to hit him. But he came back. So this week on Hard Knocks is gonna be interesting to watch him come back. But I'll give him credit, man. Mental health is not anything to fuck with. Because I when people say, oh, he can't just stop smoking weed, he's just messing up his own career. His brain. It doesn't stop him. When you have an addictive personality, you can't stop yourself. You want to stop yourself. You know it's wrong, but you can't. I mean, it's just, if you don't have an addictive personality, you can't explain it. Because the only thing that I can compare it to, so when you got people that do heroin and things like that, they know they're playing Russian roulette every time they stick a needle in their arm. But they can't stop themselves. Like, it's a chemical imbalance within your brain. And the only thing I can relate it to, I don't have an addictive personality, but I'm very much a creature of habit. So when I come to a city, if I find a good restaurant the first day, I might eat at that restaurant every day after that. Or I might get the same food. I might go to like a Chipotle and it was good and I'll eat it every day. And as far as like heroin addicts, I see a lot of them, or just guys going to rehab in general. You hear a lot of times that they'll do one last high. I'm going to do this one last hit because I know I'm going into rehab and I'm not going to do it anymore. And that's a recipe for failure. The only way I can relate that is when you're eating right and eating healthy, what you'll do is you'll be like, I'm just going to eat this Reese cup at 2 a.m. Nobody sees me. I'm just going to eat one Reese cup. But you just defeated the purpose of working out and eating healthy when you ate that Reese cup that nobody saw you eat. And that reminds me of, the guy that actually is the engineer here at Timeless. We got to do this early in the morning today when we're recording this because he said he's got a training. He's working out with a trainer. And I was like, yo, you ever thought of intermittent fasting? And he was like, he wasn't sure what I was talking about. I've been intermittent fasting for the last month and a half, 2 months. And what that is the first meal I eat every day is at 2 p.m. And then I have to be done eating by 10 p.m. And granted, you still have to eat healthy. But it gives you a little leeway, I think, because you don't have as much time to consume as many calories. But I like intermittent fasting. I just feel better in the morning when I wake up. and you right when I feel like, oh my God, I can't take it, I gotta eat, it's time to eat. Now granted, I don't work out at 6 a.m. because if I did, I'd probably have to eat because I'd be burning calories so much. I'd be like, oh, I'll be getting lightheaded. So I try to work out later in the day when I'm intermittent fasting. But I first heard about it from Terry Crews. I heard Terry Crews talking about how it gives his digestive tract a chance to recover, and then you're burning all morning. Your body's just burning, and then you start refueling later on in the day. So I actually like the way intermittent fasting makes me feel. A lot of people, when I first heard it, I was like, there's no way I can do this. You know, because you're so used to being ingrained in your brain, like breakfast is the most important meal of the day. It's really not. I mean, you can go a couple hours after you wake up and feel fine. Your body's just going to be burning the stuff you ate from the night before. So, and let me tell you something, and when you don't eat for 3 hours before you go to bed, you wake up in the morning feeling skinny as shit. Like I literally be in the mirror like, God damn, I look good this morning. Once you get that first meal in, all of a sudden, bloop, bloop. And I think that's the one thing I haven't done in my life. Like I've worked out, I've been healthy. There was a time in my life I was running a lot. Now I'm getting older. My knees are bad. I can't really do that. So I bought a Peloton bike so I can work out at the house. That thing, I love that thing because you just walk in the other room and get on it for 45 minutes, and it's like you're going to Soul Cycle or a Cycle Bar, and it's just in your own house. So I do that a lot, but it's funny. I've never met my abs ever. The top 2 have come in, and I've had a flat stomach, but I ain't ever just had 8-pack, 6-pack. It's the vein of my existence. Like I really want to meet them one day. I just think they're shy. I just think my abs are shy. I've eaten healthy. I've done all that. I'm like, what the fuck do I got to do to see? Because everybody, everywhere I read and everywhere I go, they're like, everybody's got abs. Everybody's got them. You just not everybody's seen them. You got a layer of fat over your abs. And I'm like, really? That sounds good. But where the fuck are my abs? I mean, when I say I've eaten salad, cut out carbs, stop drinking. The only thing I drink now is water, and I might have almond milk or some coffee. That's it. And I don't put nothing in my coffee. So as far as like when I'm drinking, that ain't it. I've taken out dairy and sugar. I'm like, dude, what the hell do I got to do to meet my abs? I don't know. I get so frustrated when I see like Michael B. Jordan's Instagram or guys that was in the movie 300, shit like that. I remember when the movie 300 came out, I was shooting a movie called College in New Orleans, and I went and saw it. And then afterwards, all those guys were so fucking ripped. I was looking at a buddy of mine. I was like, dude, that's it, man. We're working out right now. From here on out, we're eating healthy. We're going to do what they did. On the way home from the movie, we passed a Cafe du Monde. If you know what Cafe du Monde is, it's like just fried, basically dough, and they put powdered sugar on it. And it's so freaking good, man. If you ever go to New Orleans, everybody goes to Cafe du Monde. And that's all they serve. They don't serve burgers, fries, nothing. It's like beignets is what they're called. That's all they serve. And you get some coffee and milk, but it's beignets. But we're on the way home from seeing 300, and we're in here fired up in the car. That's it, man. We're working out, eating healthy. And we passed the Cafe du Monde, and we were like, tomorrow. We're going to start tomorrow. We destroyed some beignets after we saw the movie 300. Okay. I think this week, the bad news was Aretha Franklin passed away. And I was talking to somebody about it, and they was like, it's funny how when you pass away, then everybody plays your music. And I get it. You're remembering everybody. Like when Prince passed away and Michael Jackson passed away and now Aretha Franklin passed away. That's all you hear is their music. And it's more like you want to celebrate people more when they're here than when they pass away. Same when XX-Tentacion passed away and all you heard was his music. That's it. I mean, that's all you do. And sometimes it's crazy because I'm not familiar with artists until they die. Let's take XXX-Tentacion. I never listened to his music. I just saw him doing. I didn't know who he was till he got beat up in San Diego when the guy walked on stage and sucker punched him. And then I'd see like videos of him and he'd post these crazy pictures of himself when he was discoloring his eyes or getting these crazy tattoos. But I've actually listened to a couple of his songs and now I get why he connected with the teenage fan base and young adults because, you know, he sang about depression and how you feel like nobody understands you. And he's got a song with Post Malone called Damaged, and it's basically a remix. Like Post Malone's got Fall Apart, and then XXXTentacion comes and sings like this hook where he talks about how his heart's damaged. It's a pretty deep song, especially when you're in the car by yourself and you're listening to it, and then you can be like, okay, if I'm a 18-year-old kid and you remember how you felt when you was 18, I said, I'd just be in my car like, I could see how he connected with his audience like that. I really could. Another guy I didn't know, Chris Cornell, who committed suicide last year, who was the lead singer of Soundgarden. I knew this dude could sing, and I liked him in Temple of the Dog, and I liked probably about 5-6 of his songs. But man, I became an uber fan once he passed away because people started posting all his music online. And if you get a chance, go to YouTube and look up Chris Cornell, and then he does a couple songs. He does a Whitney Houston with just a guitar and him on stage, and it's I Will Always Love You, and it was right after Whitney Houston passed away, and he's in San Francisco, and he gets on stage, and the crowd doesn't know what he's gonna sing, and he leads into it and goes, "I just learned this song the other day, so if I mess up, bear with me," and he crushes it. I mean, crushes it. I'll be in my car listening to that on YouTube, probably more than any other song, just because you feel the energy of the crowd and you don't know the song when he first starts it because he's just got a guitar and he made it like a rock version of the song and he just destroyed it. And I was like, yo. And then he does the Sinead O'Connor / Prince song, Nothing Compares to You. He does this acoustic version. I think he did it for XM Radio. Like XM Radio had these different people doing these in-studio songs, acoustic songs. He kills that. He does he's got a Billie Jean one out there. And all this stuff's like acoustic and live and looks like he's just off the cuff, but I didn't realize what a amazing singer that dude was until he passed away. And now I'm upset because that's somebody I would have liked to see live. I just didn't. Yeah, just for whatever reason, I didn't appreciate the talent, or he wasn't on my radar until he committed suicide, and then everyone started posting his music everywhere, and then I got a hit to it, and I was like, "Yo, that dude's voice was something special for real." Now, it seems like this episode I'm talking about mental health a lot. We're talking about Josh Gordon and Chris Cornell committing suicide and everything else. Now that I have my podcast, I start listening to a lot of other people's podcasts just to see what's successful and what people are gravitating to. And there's some good ones out there, some not so good ones. I really enjoy Joe Rogan's a lot. Now, Joe Rogan is very UFC heavy. He's got an eclectic group of guests. You never know. My publicist actually called to see if I can get on there. And Joe Rogan's people called back and said, nah, we're kind of booked, but who else you got? I was like, ain't that a bitch? So they basically said no to me, but who else you got on your roster? So are you booked or not? Now, and I know it's not coming from Joe, but whoever his people are was like, ah! And I know it's probably like his podcast is one of the top ones out there. So getting on that is not an easy thing to do, but I really want to get on his podcast one day because I just enjoy listening to it. And I mean, that's why I really started learning about intermittent fasting and everything else. Like I heard it from Terry Crews, but then I saw Joe Rogan talking about it, and I was like, I'm going to see that. Theo Vaughn's another comedian, has a really good podcast. Bert Kreischer has a good one. And, and I know my audience is, I have a real big Black audience and also female Black audience. Because I can go to my Facebook, my Instagram, my Twitter, And now they have a way you can check your stats. You can tell what state, what city, what demographics are listening to you. And my demographic, more than any other, it's like 60% black females is my demographic. And then everybody else is the other 40%. So white people and black males in that, and then other is that's my fan base. So when I started doing my podcast, I was like, I'm going to go sports heavy. That's what I thought. And then when I realized, my bigger shows and what people start really watching and listening is when I'm not talking as much sports. Now I still do sports, but I'm also trying to make sure my audience doesn't leave and I want them to tune in. And what I found is with podcasts, especially in the black community, and that's a big part of my audience, it's not as popular as it is with other demographics. It is funny too because I get white people coming to my shows that got hit to me because of my podcast. And they're the ones that ask, when's your next podcast coming out? If I get messages online, it's if I get 10 messages, 9 of them are from white people asking about the podcast, and some of them don't like it. They don't like my podcast. I get this. I got told this last week. They go, "Hey man, you need a co-host because you starting to tell the same stories over and over again." And I'm like, not over and over again. Maybe over again, but not over and over. That reminds me when people be like, you asking to come get you. I'm like, dude, I got to drive all the way there, then all the way back. Or you just got to drive there and drive back. But they put that all on there, makes it sound like that trip's twice as long. Dude, like I'll be like, ew, man, can you pick me up from the airport? Bro, I got to drive all the way to the airport, then I got to drive all the way to your house, then I got to drive all the way to work. That makes it sound like it's a cross-country trip. Or you could say, yeah, Gary, I'll come get you. I just got to drive to the airport, take you back, then go to work. That sounds like a lot shorter trip. But motherfuckers will be like, I got to drive all the way there, then go listen to my podcast right now. Next time you ask somebody to do something for you as far as driving and distance, watch how they put all. It makes that trip sound 3 times as long. Watch. Now, if you just say, I got to drive to work and drive home, that doesn't sound like a long trip to work. Dude, I got to drive all the way to work. Then I got to drive all the way home. Watch how that sounds like that sounds like they're in the 1800s and they're literally taking a horse and buggy and going through rough terrain to get to work when they're really just driving like 10 miles, then driving back 10 miles. But that all is everything. So Bert Kreischer, Theo Vaughn, Joe Rogan, I really like listening to their podcast. Joey Diaz, he's got a good podcast too. Me and Joey Diaz, if you don't know who Joey Diaz is, he's been around for a while. He's a comedian. And we actually had the same manager when I first got to LA. This dude's name was Ken Phillips. I don't even know where Ken Phillips is at anymore. But I remember I was not happy with where my career was going. I felt like I was bringing all the work in. And I remember I was talking to somebody about my first manager, and I said, man, I'm getting offers from other managers, man, and I feel like I'm generating all my own work. And I was like, I'm thinking about firing them, but I'm loyal, try to be loyal. And they go, dude, your manager's office is in his apartment. And it made all the sense to me. I go, oh yeah, I probably can't let him go. He goes, dude, your manager's office is in an apartment. What's that tell you about what kind of manager you got? Because your manager should have his or her own office. Now I've had the same manager for the last 15 years. We're like joined at the hip, my manager now. But within those podcasts, and especially when I was talking about Theo Vaughn and Joe Rogan, I got hip to these 2 dudes. One's name is David Goggins, and I don't want to mispronounce the guy's name. Both these guys are ex-Navy SEALs. Jocko Willink and David Goggins. If you're out there listening, pull those guys up on YouTube and just listen to them talk. Now, they're both ex-Navy SEALs. Now they're both just basically sharing their stories. David's story, David Goggins, now he's a black guy, talks about growing up, had it rough, went to an all-white school, got called the N-word a lot, was fat, was like out of shape, depressed. He talks about how after high school, he was spraying like the insecticides at like Steak and Shakes and Burger King. So he was working late at night. He goes, and every night when he got off work in the middle of the night, he would just go get a milkshake, a cheeseburger, and just was fat. And then he's like, he came home one night, and he's like, I'm sipping on a milkshake, I'm eating a cheeseburger, and he saw one of those shows about the Navy SEALs, and he was like, and just a light went off, and he was like, yo, that's what I want to do. I'm gonna join the Navy and become a Navy SEAL, which is, let me tell you, it's one of the hardest things you do in life is be a Navy SEAL. So he's the only guy, according to him, that went through Hell Week 3 times in a year. Now, if you don't know what Hell Week is, before I was in the Navy, I'm going to get to Jocko Willink in a minute. I want to tell David's story first. If you don't know what Hell Week is, so when I was in the Navy, I was a cop. I was a police officer. I was stationed at NAB Coronado. Now, NAB Coronado, it's right outside of San Diego. And basically is in San Diego. It's just there's a little body of water that's called the Coronado Bay Bridge. You got to cross that bridge, and then you're in Coronado. And then you're just looking at San Diego once you cross the bridge. But that's where the Navy base is. That's also where BUDS training is, which is Basic Underwater Demolition School. And these are the guys that are trying to become Navy SEALs. They got to go through BUDS. Now, BUDS is in 3 phases. You got the first phase, second phase, third phase. The first phase is all physical. They're just trying to break you to see where you're at. And then the second phase is more classwork, technical, learning about weapons and tactical movements and things like that. Then the third phase is kind of a combo of the first. So what happens is, now I could be wrong, but when I was in the Navy, I believe it was 6 months. Was BUDS training. So every phase was 2 months. And your first 2 months, you're just, they're just, you're swimming, you're running, you're working out constantly. They're just getting you ready. They're breaking you down to see if they can break you as far as with the physical fitness stuff. And that the last week of phase 1 is called Hell Week. Now, this is what Hell Week is. You get up on Sunday morning. They wake you up. And all you guys, all these BUDS candidates trying to be Navy SEALs, they're all sleeping in a room. Let's say a gym, right? And they're just laying down. So it's Saturday night. They all go to bed, let's say 10 o'clock. They don't know when they're getting woken up. All of a sudden, like 3:34 in the morning, all these instructors, these Navy SEAL instructors come in, and they start cussing them out. They're shooting like blank gun, and then they all got to run out on the beach, and they start rolling in the sand, and then they go and they got to run into the water. So now they're wet. They got sand in them, and they all got these rafts they carry, these big rafts, and they got to carry them over their head. Everywhere they go, they got these rafts. That's where they run. They got these rafts over their head, because at any point you might get in the water and you got to hop in your raft. And I think it's like 8-man crews in the raft. And then these dudes stay up until Friday. So they get woken up Sunday night. They roll around the sand. They go in the water. Water could be cold, whatever. And they physically just are working out, and they don't stop moving until Friday. I mean, I can't even fathom that. Think about just running on the beach and rolling around the sand, and then having to get in a raft and having to paddle that raft out 20 miles out to sea, then paddle it back, and then doing push-ups and sit-ups, and you don't go to sleep. You might get like 4 or 5 hours. They might say, hey, okay, rest for 20 minutes at some point. But when I was on NAB Coronado, we used to have to set the perimeter. We used to have to set security for Hell Week, because once these guns start getting shot, it's blanks, and then they might set off flares and shit. It's loud, man, and people like they line up at the edge of the base in Coronado, and because they want to see when it's going to happen, this Hell Week, and you don't want people taking pictures or videos, or you don't want people just running on the beach, because it is an open beach. Now, there's the base doesn't have a fence that separates it. There's signs that say this is a private beach. You're now on military property, but you can't just You could just walk on the beach if you really wanted to. I mean, it'd be a long walk, but where Hell Week is. So what we would have to do as security at AB Coronado, they would be like, okay, we got to set perimeters up, and we'd have our patrol cars and our ATVs and everything else on the beach to make sure nobody did anything, and nothing ever would happen, but just to make sure nobody, any looky-loos, anybody can't wander on the beach at any time because Hell Week's about to start. So we would see the guys. And I worked nights. I worked 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. So I saw probably 4 or 5 different Hell Weeks start and finish. And so I'd be sitting there watching these guys roll around the sand, and they run out in the water and everything. And you hear the instructors just going off. And there's a bell you can ring. You can ring that bell at any moment, and that means you quit. You're done. You're out. You're not going to be a SEAL. You're no longer in budge training. You're done. And if they start, let's say they start with 80 guys, by Friday, maybe 20 are left. So 60 guys. And some people get hurt. That's what happened to this David Goggins guy. He got hurt. That's why he did Hell Week 3 times. Because, he's like, one time he broke his leg, just because you're just pounding your body for a week. Because I remember we'd set up the perimeter on Sunday night. And then let's say I get off at 6 a.m. Monday morning, and I come back I'm off. So I'd be off like Monday, Tuesday. And then I come back Wednesday night. These fuckers are still going. You just see them on the base run around with their rafts over their head and all kinds of crazy shit. And I was like, yo, they're still awake. And then you'd see them in the chow hall, and they were like zombies. It was like the goddamn Walking Dead. They would just be sitting there, and they'd only get like 15 minutes to eat, and they were just out of it. You would just see it literally was like they were in mentally they were in another frame of mind than I've ever seen anybody. And guys would start hallucinating when you're up that long, and your brain is saying we need rest. It starts playing tricks on you. Like one time, we were setting the perimeter, or we were just kind of, I don't know, I was just kind of watching from afar. Like I used to, like, if it was a slow night and it was Hell Week, I would kind of follow from afar. I'd be like that guy at the mall following a good looking chick. You're acting like you don't see her, but all of a sudden you're in the same store as her and things like that. So if I was in my patrol car, I would just slowly patrol wherever I'd see these 6, 7 rafts with 8 guys underneath them running around the base. And I just would watch. And one time I remember this one guy just started going, whoa, whoa, whoa. And I was like, what the hell's he doing? So then I got cool with some of the instructors and everything. And when Hell Week was over, I'd ask them. One guy said, oh, yeah. That was Smith. He thought there was a brick wall and the bricks were flying at him. So he was telling the other guys, watch out for the bricks. So literally in this guy's brain, he's got this raft over his head. He's running around the base, and he's telling the other guys, watch out. Whoa, whoa. And he was dodging bricks in his brain that was getting thrown at him and the other guys. Just his mind was playing tricks on him. I think the cruelest thing I ever saw was we had this steel pier on NAB Coronado. And this is like, let's just say it's Wednesday. So it's 3 days into Hell Week. They got 2 days left. I saw this one instructor, well, not one, a couple instructors. So all the guys were just kind of doing sit-ups and doing a bunch of calisthenics basically on the steel pier. And it was wet. It was raining out. And so that made it worse. So the instructor goes, and I'm making this up. I don't know exactly what he said, but this is the gist of it. He goes, all right, this is what I want you guys to do. I want you to swim out 2 miles, hit that buoy, come back, run around the base 4 times. Then we're going to do 1,000 sit-ups, and then we're going to do something else. Or there was always an ambulance close by. When you're doing Hell Week, there was always EMTs and ambulances with them wherever they go. He goes, and literally the ambulance opened up, and he goes, I got some hot pizza here. He said, I got some fresh pizza. I got some hot chocolate. Or you guys can just have some pizza and hot chocolate and call it a day. 3 guys got out. I'll never forget it. Went ding, 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 rang the bell and quit right there. I saw 3 guys quit right in front of me. And then the guy goes, you know what? I changed my mind. Rest for 10 minutes. I was like, what the fuck? He just mind fucked them. He told them all the shit they were going to do. And then 3 guys quit. And he just went, I changed my mind. Just rest for 15 minutes or 10 minutes. So now all the guys are just basically chilling on the pier. It was still rain out, but I was like, and I asked a couple guys, because here's when you this is kind of random, but when you talk about police brutality cases in inner cities and how white cops be harassing black people and they don't know the people in the neighborhood, yet they patrol the neighborhood. It was when I was in the Navy, it made sense how we did it. We always had a Navy SEAL every shift. Every shift, there was a Navy SEAL that was temporarily assigned to the police force because we had Bud students and we had Navy SEALs on our base. And if one of those go left and check out or go crazy, that's a trained killer on the loose. Not so much the Bud students, but the Navy SEALs. So we had to have one with us that had a rapport and knew those guys. And to me, that makes sense when you're talking about neighborhoods. You got to have police officers that are from that neighborhood, at least one on every shift. So if shit does goes left, maybe you call them on, and instead of some black guy that you think's doing something bad, the cop that knows them will be like, yo, Derek, what are you doing? It just, to me, it makes sense. But what I'm getting at is, so we always had a Navy SEAL stationed with us or on a shift. So I always picked their brain about everything. And they were so open. Like the Bud students are the ones you think are getting drunk and beating up people at bars and wilding out. Most of the Navy SEALs are pretty freaking laid back, the ones I knew. So I always ask them questions about Bud's training and everything. They couldn't really tell me about any missions they've been on, but they could tell me about Bud's training. And it was funny because a lot of them was like, once you get to like Wednesday, Thursday, that's when you see the end. You see the light at the end of the tunnel. You just got to make it till Friday morning. And what I didn't know is you're in the same fatigues all week. You're not changing clothes. You're not changing underwear. You're not changing socks. You're not taking off your boots, because when you're pushing your body to that type of limit and basically kind of abusing your body, your ankles swell up. And if you take off your boot, you won't be able to get it back on. That's how swelled up it is. I was like, whoa, that's crazy to me. And you would see the guys Friday morning. It was I liked Friday morning better than I did Sunday night, because Friday morning when you came in, I always wanted to be there when they said, okay, that's it, we're done. Because you don't know, it could be at 7 a.m. Friday, or it could be at like noon Friday. I don't know. They would just do it. And you see the guys, just the 20 guys left. And you know, they were all hugging, and you saw the instructors, like they changed. Like the instructors literally went from hard asses to now you have like gained the respect of the instructors once you make it through Hell Week. So those Navy SEALs are on some other shit. It's something I never wanted to do. It never got in me like, that'd be dope to do that. In boot camp, we had guys that they said they were going to go try to be a Navy SEAL. Even when I saw it up close, I was like, I don't want no part of that. Nothing about that made me want to do it. But this David Goggins guy, and sorry about the long Hell Week story, but god dang, it was just some shit that I didn't appreciate then how I appreciate it now, that I was able to see SEAL training up close like that. But this David Goggins guy went through Hell Week 3 times because he got hurt 2 times, and then he went through it a 3rd time within 1 year. That's mind-boggling to me. To go through it once, but 3 times, that's some other mental shit. But he lost all this weight, and he does motivational speaking now. And if you get a chance, man, go to YouTube and just look up David Goggins. Let's listen to his story, listen to him talk. I go to the gym now, and I just listen to him. I don't even listen to music anymore. I just listen to him talking and about his story, and it just motivates you. And he talks about how every day do something that sucks. He goes, do something that sucks, because that means you're making yourself uncomfortable, and you'll appreciate it when you're done with that, and then you'll appreciate the comfort afterwards. He goes, every day, he goes, embrace the suck. And it sounded weird. It didn't sound right the way I just said it, but the way he said it, it sounded kind of dope. Embrace the suck. But he's dope, And then there's this other guy, Jocko Willink. Now, Jocko Willink was in charge of like SEAL Team 3 during the Iraqi war. I mean, it's still going on, but like he just did all these missions, and I haven't heard him really talk about like killing people, but he's killed people. Like he's went over there, and that's what SEAL teams do. They go over there, they infiltrate. But now this guy, just his voice will get you fired up. He's got this one motivational piece on YouTube called Good, and it's only like 2 minutes long, but it's him, and he's got his own podcast. But it's him in a room, and he just talking about everything's good. He goes, your wife left you? Good. He goes, he's like, yeah, the bank called and said you owe money? Good. All these terrible things that could happen to you, he just says good. He said, because if you can say the word good, it means you're alive. It means you're still here, and it means you got a chance to make things right. You can fix things. He goes, so everything, I just broke my ankle. Good. Now start healing and get better and be stronger when you come back. I'm like, this motherfucker here got me fired. And he looks like a Navy SEAL. Like most Navy SEALs are skinny and small actually, because, you're in the water a lot of times. You got to be, you're swimming 90% of the time. Navy SEALs, over half the time they swim and they in the water. So you think Navy SEALs are these big, buff, muscle-bound dudes, but that's not the case. A lot of them are just like, they look like Olympic swimmers, honestly. But Jocko looks like a Navy SEAL you would think out of a comic book. I mean, just thick and ripped and got this big neck. He looks like a guy you just don't want to cross. Like you would just keep hitting him and he wouldn't go down. But yeah, look him up and look up that thing Good, where he just says good. Literally go to YouTube, type in Jocko Willink, Willink, and his first name is Jocko, Jocko, and type in good, and just listen to that for 2 minutes. And tell me that don't get you fired up with his voice. But his story, he's got a lot of great stories about going over to Saddam Hussein and infiltrating that. And he's talking about going into some of some of his palaces and seeing his torture rooms. He said there's one that there was hooks on the wall. He goes, and when he walked in there, he goes, that was one of the few times as a SEAL and being in war where he had to take a step back and realize what he was actually seeing. Because when he walked into one of Saddam's palaces and there was hooks on the wall, that was where they put people. Like they tortured people and just hung them on the wall on a hook. I'm like, that's some depraved, fucked up shit. And it just made me realize I'm so glad that dude's gone. I'm so glad he's not in power. I'm so glad he's dead. He goes, that was one of the few times where he went into a situation in a mission and it hit him when he walked into the room. Like a lot of times your testosterone's so up and you're so locked in as to what your mission is, you don't take time to realize what you're actually seeing. He said when we went into one of his palaces and walked into that torture room where he saw the hooks on the wall and he realized what those hooks were for, he said, whoa. He said it hit him right then, like, whoa. And that's one of the things, if you believe in ghosts, man, there had to be some spirits in that room. I'm like, I couldn't even fathom. I couldn't even imagine. So, all right. Well, listen, y'all. Again, David Goggins, Jocko Willink. Look them up on YouTube. Some other podcasts that I mentioned today that I really like, and I like to go on, honestly, is Theo Vaughn, Bert Kreischer, Joe Rogan. Those are three good ones that I really like. If you guys want to listen to other podcasts outside of my own, I still think mine's the best. Just kidding. Again, Jacksonville, Florida, this weekend, August 23rd to the 26th. New York City, August 30th to July 2nd at Caroline's, and then Dayton, Ohio at the Funny Bone, September 6th through the 9th. And last week I told you I was in Cleveland. I taped my weekend there to send to Netflix. Netflix wanted to see it, and it came out pretty good. I saw it. So Netflix, they're getting it today. As I film this, Netflix is getting the hour I'm submitting to them. So hopefully in the next couple weeks I'll have some good news. I'm just going to cross my fingers because this is the farthest I've got with Netflix. In the past, it's just been a no for whatever reason. But now they said, okay, let's see his hour. Let's see what he's got. So hopefully they like it. I looked at it, and if they don't like it, they just don't like me. Or not Netflix, but the people that are making the decisions to give specials. Because honestly, it came out really good. I can't even be like, well, I was off that day or something wasn't right. No. The shit that I sent to Netflix this week is good. I looked at it and I was happy with it. I was like, if they don't like it, for every reason they don't like me. For whatever reason. Then I'll say it's racial and gender biased if they don't pick me up. Because they don't give white guys specials. That wouldn't make any sense. God damn it. I don't even have an argument. I just be like, all right, keep moving, film it somewhere else. All right, y'all. I'll see you guys next week. This is Gary Owen with the Get Some podcast. If you want to listen to my podcast, just go to iTunes, search Gary Owen, #Get Some.